do not know if Chuck or like Boyd Crowder in Justified. I do not know if Chuck or Tim are out there, but I assume that they are. We are back for Chuck here. There we go. We are back here for Ask Me Anything. I didn't comb my hair. It's really too short to comb. Pushing social. Look good. Smell good. I imagine Boyd Crowder smelled good in Justified. If you've never seen the show Justified, you should check it out. It's one of the best TV shows I have ever seen, and the villain in it, played by Walter Goggin, something like that, he's just a fantastic. It's like nothing you've ever seen on TV, I promise you. A very intelligent hillbilly. So, very, very cool stuff. I still have not gotten the reflective stuff. Clearly, that's never going to happen, because I only think about it as soon as I get on Twitch and then can see it, and there you are. All right, so I think Tim is live too, or wandering around. We've had a lot of storms rolling through Arkansas. Had snow in the north part of the state, so we might lose old Timbo to that. How's it going, Epi? How are things down in Texas way? Warm, I hope, because normally we get your weather rolls across you and right up the Arkansas, not the Arkansas River Valley, right up Interstate 30, 40, no, 30. Right up 30 and dumps it on us. We either, here in Arkansas, we get two types of weather, and this is why we get a lot of tornadoes. We either get warm stuff coming off the Gulf that circles through the Gulf across northern Mexico into Texas and New Mexico, and then rolls up through past Dallas and into the state. And then we get a second front that comes from the Great Plains off of the Rockies over Kansas and Oklahoma. And when those two fronts slam into one another, cold air from the north and warm air from the south, we get a beating. We had it about 2 weeks ago, I think. Thank you for the subscription, Perry. Much appreciated. How's it going, Biggin? We're doing a little geographical weather report here, and here on the Twitch channel. Hype train incoming. I don't know what that means, but something has happened. You'll have a limited time to earn exclusive emotes. I don't know what any of that means. Subject or use bits to get to them. I guess I shouldn't be reading this. Need to get this out of the way. What, the cold? Because it's cold this morning. I wanted no cold. I was hoping we were finished with it for the year, but it came back. Oh. So you're not talking about the cold. You're talking about the third-party publisher guidelines. You know what? I don't even know where those things are. The other ones I found are pretty easy. Since we fixed the search function, let's try this. I can't imagine I saved them under publisher guidelines. But we will see. I'm sure nothing's going to come up. How's it going, Commander Pete? We are attempting to find the third-party publisher guidelines, but we will fail. Yeah, no such items. I don't know what I would have put those under. I'd be licensing that. Let's do that. We did those things back in 05 or 06 or something. It's going to be a whole lot of licensing agreements pop up. Yep. Nope. Nothing yet. So, how's it going, James? We will endeavor to keep looking for those, or should I say more correctly, start looking for those after the show. Yeah, the man himself. It's an idiot troll in his idiot office, weathering another Tuesday. And it's been a fun Tuesday, for no doubt. Got into an argument with the bank this morning, which you're just going to lose. If you argue with the bank, you just lose. It's just the way it is. They don't often yield. How's it going, Maximus? Yeah, nothing came up on that licensing search. I don't know what it could be. Just guideline. Publisher. Let's just type in publisher. And maybe something will pop up. I had my first Dr. Pepper in the last 10 months last week. But was it good? It was a good big one because I had one. I don't have my first one in the day until after I've had lunch. I used to drink a bunch in the morning, and I quit doing that. Switched to water, just slightly better, so that Dr. Pepper after lunch. Man, is it good. When are we going? Oh, I need. Chuck was going to set us up about the ham radios. He was going to set us up a thing on Discord. I need to get in there and find that out because I've always wanted to do the ham radio, if nothing else, to listen to the chatter going on around the place. And there was some. My dad used to tell a story. Now I'll have to get with my mom and have her refresh it. But when he was in Vietnam, they used to listen to the ham radio folks talking all the time. And he had some really funny stories about that stuff. Always, even as a kid, I always wanted to get into it because of that. That's why I have lunch. Yes, that is one reason that I have lunch so very, very early, so that I can have my first Dr. Pepper for the day. And when your gut's full, that cold Dr. Pepper is just delicious. You should never drink Dr. Pepper on an empty stomach. Not a good idea. How's it going, John? How are things down in Louisiana? I hope it's warm down there because it's chilly up here. We need some warm air from somebody. Yep, Harry, that's part of what we were doing. And I'll tell you what, it's funny because, you know, I run, obviously, Troller Games, and I help my wife manage her, just the business side of things. She runs her office. I don't have anything to do with that, but paperwork and all that business. And we've watched, because we've used financing over the past couple of decades to finance both Troller Games, Chenault and Gray, and her own business, and but we have watched, and my frustration level has gone up, and I know that the folks that we work with at the bank all the time know it. The paperwork in the past, I would say, beginning about 6 or 7 years ago, probably right after the banking kerfluffle back in 08 and 07, the paperwork every year gets a little bit more egregious. There's just so much paperwork now, and some of it is absolutely, I don't know, it's just bizarre. Just bizarre. And it's like they don't save any of it. I send the same shit to them every year, and they don't save it. I have no idea. But I know on their end there's been so many federal regulations coming down that it's going to get way crazier after this present bailout. It's not going to get better. Bureaucracy does not tend to untangle itself. It just gets worse. So we all need to buckle up because it's going to be a fun ride. I gotta have an old AM, FM, SW radio can pick up radio from anywhere in the world if I can get an antenna up 30 feet and just listen to that. Yeah, it's kind of what I want, Jake, just to kind of listen to people. I'll get on there too and talk, but I think it'd be kind of cool just to listen to the chitter-chatter around the world. And I always felt like there's some kind of, I don't know, maybe I watch too much X-Files, but there's some kind of community there that just would be very, very cool. Oh, very cool, Epi. We'll have to get on. So, yeah, as soon as Chuck KF5E. That's very cool. And as soon as Chuck gets it set up on Discord, I'll get on there and find out, because I think it would be handy right now with half the country, or 2/3, what is it, 86%? I can't remember how much of the country's shut down, and people that stay at home. It'd be great to everybody get on the ham radio and find out what's going on. And that is very cool. But that's what Commander Pete. That's what that's why we're going to set up this discussion, because we are told that it's not nearly as expensive as we thought that it was. So that's what Big and Whistle. That's what Big has been telling us, and so we're going to get on Discord and figure this stuff out, and he can send us some equipment that we can buy. Which would be just awesome. Very cool. Let's see. How's it going, Ingolf? Troll ham sounds good. Yeah, Barry. We don't want troll ham. How's it going, DM Samuel? That would be cool. Let's just do it. We need to set up a whole. That's a great idea. Let's set up a whole troll network, if that's what you do on ham radio. I have no idea, but I am interested in finding out. There was a ham rig floating around my family somewhere. I'll have to track it down. Yeah, absolutely. That'd be cool. And then you bring the old school to it. Or do they update that stuff? I have no idea. I just, you see it on the TV or whatever, and and I know of its existence. I remember when the CBs came out. They've been out for a while, but they became popular in the late 70s, early 80s. My dad got one, and he was on that thing all the time. See, we could have story adventures use. There you go. People always tell me things are not as expensive as I think. I'm the opposite, Commander. My wife tells me that I'm stuck in the 1950s because I'm always like, well, we shouldn't pay more than $40 for that television, which nothing costs $40. I think you can't hardly get a dinner for $40 anymore. So it's all what it is. Very, yeah. You don't hear about it like you did when we were younger because of, the internet's consumed all of that. But apparently, it's still alive and kicking. It's just kind of a cool way to chit chat. I assume we're going to find out once it's set up on Discord. We will be big and will teach us the way. Was the first tech social app after Party Line Phone. There you go. Yeah, I don't really know how long those things have been around, ham radio. It's got to be a long time. Long. I know back in Vietnam, that's when my dad was listening to him when he was stationed over in, I can't remember where he was, but he flew gunships in the first tour and skids in the second tour, so he was bebopping around all over that. How's it going, Valeria? Together here. Good seeing everyone. We're all weathering the storm as we must. We don't have any choice, though. You weather it as best you can. It's a nice thing. Just hunker down, push on through. As normal, I am being instructed to ask everybody, if you have not followed us, please give us a follow. We sure appreciate it. Any support you can throw our way. We are here today for just kind of a round robin of Ask Me Anything. I'm Steve Chenault, CEO of Troll Lord Games. If you have any questions about Troll Lord, Castles and Crusades, Amazing Adventures 5th Edition, role playing that we do, and or the industry, or whatever, whatever it is, or Dr. Pepper, I'll answer it as best I can. I'm here physically. Diet Dr. Pepper with cream soda and as much alcohol. There you go. Spice it up. I keep hearing about this Dr. Pepper cream soda with cream soda, but I have not had it yet. I'm kind of a purist. I drink Dr. Pepper out of a can. Diet Coke, man. There you go, John. There you go. I rarely, if ever, drink Dr. Pepper out of a glass or with ice or out of a plastic bottle. It is a glass bottle or a can. Does TLG have an adventure design book? Not per se. There's instructions in the CKG how to design adventures and whatnot, and then we've got support material for that, like engineering dungeons and engineering castles, arms and armor. There's one other I'm missing in there somewhere. And then we've got things like the Storyteller's Thesaurus. We've got a lot of tools to help you design a dungeon. But we don't actually have a book to how to design a dungeon. I think Goodman Games put on a really good one called the ABCs of Dungeon Design, something like that. But definitely Goodman's got something. But on our end, it's CKG, Engineering Castles, Engineering Dungeons to help you get started. We've also got a pretty active Discord and Facebook, so give us a shout. We'd love to dive in and help any way we can. Room of Adventure Design. It would be an interesting concept. I like the ending of the Castle Keeper's Guide Kickstarter that ended last week. It ended on a super high note with the 2 new books coming into the fray. Alchemy book, Herbalism and Alchemy, and then Harvesting, not called Harvesting, Salvaging. I guess Harvesting is a rough word, but salvaging not animal parts, monster parts. So, when the characters kill the dragon and they pluck its eyes out, they're always mutilating these poor creatures. They kill, cutting off claws, taking their eyes, draining their blood. It's like they're the most gruesome people. Characters are the most gruesome people that have ever existed. But what do you do with these things? So that's kind of the... Deadhead, thank you for the subscription. That's kind of the approach that we're doing in the harvesting or salvaging monster parts. So you'll know how much these things will bring in the open market and what to actually do with them, what potions to brew or what have you. Barry, do you think the pandemic impacted the final Kickstarter numbers? You know, I just had a conversation about that with another publisher. I think what hit that, the problem with the CKG Kickstarter, it did good. It did what we needed it to do, and then some. We expected it to do about 20%, 25% more than it did. But I think at the end of the day, to be brutally honest with you, we didn't offer enough new content in that book to bring in those people that, you know, they want to get the new printing, they want to be a part of this, but there's no reason to at the moment because there's nothing new. And at the very, very end of it, when we pitched this, the monster salvaging and the alchemy books to it, I think that galvanized a lot of people. I think it could have done slightly better had we done that earlier. But as for the pandemic actually impacting us, probably a little bit, but not, I don't think in an earth-shattering way. That said, you know, we wrestled through the 2007, 2008 recession, and I kind of have a basic philosophy that from a company's perspective, not only do we have employees and contract laborers who have to get paid, but we don't want to stop doing what we're doing because then we just play into the recession. If we had not done the Kickstarter and waited till the pandemic ended or waited till the recession is over, or whatever the conclusions that are coming to the pandemic, I think that's bad for everybody. I think it's bad for you guys, and it's bad for us because, you know, it slows our commerce down, and it's bad for those people who who work for us who have to make a mortgage payment. So if the pandemic impacted it, it's possible. I don't think it was a huge impact. I think that if it did, that it was a necessary loss that we had to take as Star games moving forward. I tend to have the philosophy to just push on through. Just anything that's in front of you, just keep pushing through. Either you're going to give out eventually, or it will. So that's kind of my basic philosophy on that. And this pandemic thing is going to be interesting. Because I don't think, you know, it's not going to go away. This virus is here to stay with us forever. It's whether we can get treatments or a vaccine or however that's going to play out. And we'll definitely get treatments for it. We'll definitely get a vaccine at some point. I have no doubt about that. It's kind of the timing. So this is not going to end. You know, this isn't the way this virus has worked. Okay, there's a Dungeon Builder's Guidebook for AD&D from Bruce Cordell. I remember that, Ingolf. Yeah, that was a good book. But do definitely check out Dungeon. Goodman Games is a good one too. I have a question just for Steve. Anybody have any really good BTT maps for the A series? My group is currently in A. That's a question, Ted, that I cannot answer. Chuck will have to answer because Chuck and Tim are handling the entire BTT side of things. Still waiting on my Corinthian leather copy of the PHP. Wait a minute. You ordered that, or did you order that? Someone did when we sent one. We sent a player's handbook. I'm not sure if that was you. I don't think that was you. I was informed that there is no such thing as Corinthian leather, though. What's his name? Ricardo Montalban made that up. Hey, everyone, just a reminder that we appreciate you all hanging out. Yes, absolutely. Thank you all for joining us today. Oh, yes, you have your beer. How's it going? Kawali Sandwich. Nice. I was wondering, John Telmona, I said hello. I was wondering about the last two goals in the CKG Kickstarter. How come those were added and who wrote them? They seem to come out of nowhere. I'm glad they funded. They sound useful and cool. Rhino, that's actually, there was some internal communication mix-up with us. Those, our very own Chuck Kumba is putting those together. He's written some of it, but it's an idea that he's wanted to pursue for a while. And it's a concept that I absolutely love, mainly because we address potions in the CKG, but not enough to make it useful for the castle keeper or the GM or whoever you are to use them, you know, to really go to town with it when the character's butcher or whatever it is they butcher. So, like Sunday morning or Monday morning, it closed on Tuesday, Monday morning, Chuck I literally sat down and I thought, okay, I need to come up with something that's unique, and that's one of the things that we like to do in the Kickstarter, is come up with something that's unique for gamers, for everybody at the table that we can use. And there's so much stuff out there, so it's difficult to do that. And while I was kind of mulling that over, trying to kind of bring a little bit of life to the CKG, because It is a third printing, and really the main thing we were doing, which is cool, was illustrations, but it wasn't enough to fire everybody up. Wasn't enough to fire me up. People got on because they want the new book, and they want the illustrations. But while I was mulling that over, Chuck, out of the blue, said, "Hey, I've got these books," and Chuck didn't know if he could, working for us, if he was allowed to just pitch concepts. He didn't, because he does all of our online streaming and all of this stuff, and he's got his hands full. So he pitches ideas, and he said, "Steve, I don't know if I should be doing this because I'm doing this. I'm not sure." And I was like, "Dude, you can pitch any idea you want." But both of the ideas came at me like a freight train, and they were fantastic ideas. So we whipped up some ad copy once he kind of gave me what he wanted in them. And I absolutely loved them because it's unique and it's different, and it's a resource that we all, players and GMs, can use. So we jumped on it, put that in a Kickstarter immediately, and I think by 11 we were rolling again, and the Kickstarter has just exploded in those last 2 days. So I'm very, very super stoked about that. I think the Kickstarter for the new GM book went really well personally and offered quite a lot of special for someone like me who's been trying to rebuild my collection of books so I can start promoting and marketing games at CNC and probably will. Counting down the days like terrible actual September. Well, we're going to try tomorrow to get the digital out to everybody. Now it'll be the digital that's already in print without much added to it except the new cover. But you should have something that you're using by tomorrow. I absolutely love the CKG. I use it a lot. Sorry, but I just had so much use for the first CKG. I saw no reason for a new version. Sorry for that decision. No, absolutely not, RoboCastle. We never want you guys to feel like you have to buy the second, third, and fourth printing. I mean, because you've been in the game for a while. We don't change a lot between printings. Little corrections, edits here and there, maybe some new art. I think, what do? We changed something in the fourth to the fifth printing, or the third to the fourth of the player's handbook. But beyond that, there's really no changes. So absolutely do not feel compelled to dive in. We do ask for, moral support when we have a Kickstarter that you're not backing necessarily. If you can throw that information out to everyone you know on your social media, that always helps, just to kind of spread the word. You would be surprised at how many people, after we close a Kickstarter, come to us saying, "I never heard about the Kickstarter," with as much noise as we feel like we're making. We apparently really aren't making that much noise. Let's see. Sorry, but I didn't know that. All right. Chrism is answering Ted. Thank you, Chrism. Try converting 800 class sections community college from face-to-face to remote delivery in 7 years. John, I feel you on the other end. My kids, two of my oldest, were in college, and suddenly they were not in college. And it was the first week was mass chaos, as some of these professors who don't even use the internet barely had to suddenly retool their entire teaching methods to something they're very not comfortable with. Yeah, it has been a roller coaster ride since March, I guess, mid-March, something like that. Lots of fun, keeps us all jumping, keeps us young. All of these challenges that life throws, keeps us young, keeps us all over the place. Or something like that. That's what I keep telling. We don't call them problems here at Troll Games. We call them challenges. What is today's latest challenge? That's what we do. Aired players are 20 with my order you might be thinking of. That could be it. I know I sent a letter out to somebody. My brain doesn't function too much. As the pandemic has changed our everyday lives, do you see VTT gaming becoming the new de facto standard of playing with friends? What do you think the TTRPG industry should do that? I think the entire economy is about to begin. It's already begun, obviously, the shift into the virtual. And I think at this point, you're going to see a huge shift as people who weren't using these platforms previously are using them now, and because they can't do anything else, especially through the conventions. We saw that in GaryCon. I think their attendance was over 2,000 people on the virtual GaryCon, which is kind of close to their normal attendance. I think it's about 3,000 normally, maybe 4. I honestly can't remember. But that's huge for 10 days to put that thing together. And I saw a lot of people on this Twitch feed right here when we were doing our panels for GaryCon here that a lot of folks were saying, hey, this is new. This isn't that difficult to get into. This isn't that hard. Oh, and this is kind of interesting, that type of stuff. So I think really it's a learning curve that people are being forced to make. And anytime, if you look at, the history of economic shifts, there's frequently, it's not always because someone like Bill Gates creates something and changes the face of the economy. It's because people are forced to do something differently than they normally do because of war or terrorists or plagues or whatever. So I think honestly we're seeing that shift, and I think it's going to pick up tremendous speed over the next couple of years. And I don't think it's ever going to go back to the way it went. It was. A lot of small shops will probably not make it through this and probably will not come back, simply because online access it's greater than it ever was. And you take portals like Steam, as companies like TLG become more enmeshed in Steam, then directions go and revenue streams go in that direction. So the mom and pops are going to be tough. It's going to be a lot tougher for them to survive. Bigger chain stores will, not necessarily chain, but the bigger stores will be able to do it a little bit better, but not if they keep these lockdowns for long. I mean, Diamond has stopped shipping, Alliance and ACD has stopped shipping. I mean, just about everybody, Flat River, everybody has stopped. And stores that live, may have 30 or 60 days of revenue. Maybe they can't survive that. And those people have to go do something else to make their mortgage payments and whatnot. So you'll see that change. And as that changes, people are going to look. Gamers like ourselves, now I'm not talking younger gamers like, the guys on Steam and playing Minecraft and all of that stuff. They're very used to this platform, but our community is less used to it. Some of us get into it like crazy, but a large percentage don't. I think they're going to migrate in that direction. We saw after Gary Con on Monday, Goodman Games announced a virtual convention. Frog God Games announced a virtual convention. We were about to announce one, and then who's the other company? ETT or whatever the other company has announced one. So I think what you're fixing to see is a huge shift in that direction, and it's not going to go back. Some of it will, obviously. Some of us will always go back to the game stores and stuff like that. But you're fixing to see, and this is going to become systemic through the entire economy. I was talking to a friend of mine he's a grocer up here at the Edwards, and he said he went from 4 days a week to 6 days a week, and all he's doing is curbside service. They didn't have that. I mean, they had it before, but no one ever did it. Edwards has mostly an older crowd of people that go into it, and no one was using curbside service. And he's now doing 6 days a week curbside service. That's not going to change. Those people aren't going to, when the pandemic closes or whatever they decide to do, wherever they decide to do it, half of those people are going to still use curb, because now they've done it, they're used to it, they're comfortable with it, it's not as scary as it was. It's not going to change. So I think we're in a major seismic shift right now, and you guys are watching it unfold right before you. I mean, in many respects, you people who are on Twitch right now and using these VTT platforms, you guys are kind of the creme de la creme. You guys are leading the charge because you've taken, they told you to stay at home. You can't go to your local stores. You immediately shifted within hours, and you're doing something else. Same hobby, different platform, the whole 9 yards. So yeah, I think it's. I think we're in it. We're in it now. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Thank you, Virtual Wizard. We got lots of it coming, and I got a lot. Zoe Devos is on board now, working almost as much as Jason and Peter. So lots of new stuff coming down the pipe. Lots of new stuff. The latest M&T is huge compared to previous versions, and that one is certainly worth getting, even if you have earlier versions. Yeah, it's got a mountain of monsters in it. It is heavy, though, I will tell you that. It is one heavy, full-colored book. Spray your challenges with the hose if they get out of hand. There you go. Barry Kingdom, NPC Almanac submissions. Do you want a particular file format or just in the body of the email? If you could send it in Word, Barry, send it in Word, that'd be great. Tim is managing that, and he can extract it and put it in Word, but if you just send it in Word attached, that's easier on us, so that'll work. What plans do you have in the works for Gamehole Con, assuming it still goes on? But we always exhibit at Gamehole. I don't think we've missed one since the beginning. We usually get a corner booth, and I believe we're already set up for that, I think. Tim and Chuck handle that. They'd have to let us know, but we will definitely be at Gamehole Con. If for some reason they've closed this, they're still closing gatherings down and whatnot, I can't speak for Alex, certainly, but I have little doubt that he'll do a virtual Gamehole Con as well. And we'll dive in feet first like we always do. So, Valeria, if you're heading up that way, or if you end up in the virtual one, if it does get closed, let's definitely touch bases and enjoy it. This is a great con. Game Hole, for those of you who don't know, is in Madison, Wisconsin in November. I think October last year. I think it's Halloween last year into November, but normally it's in November. And it is a really good convention, 4,000, 5,000 attendees, lots of gaming, an absolute ton of gaming going on there. Speaking of streaming, I'm wondering how to get in on an online game at CNC. I have to let someone else answer that one. Chuck Rhino's looking for an online game at CNC. Check the Facebook page. Definitely post it there because I know there's a lot of people that discuss that there. And the World Anvil site that is gearing up for an official release, I think next Wednesday, and we'll have more information there for that as well. Let's see. Geek Preacher, how do you think face-to-face gaming, which is making a comeback, will be affected by this? How about the gaming convention? I think gaming conventions, I think you're going to see a gigantic proliferation of gaming conventions, but virtually done. People are going to have seen Gary Con. They've already seen how well Gary Con did it and how well it functioned and how easy it was to actually do on platforms like Twitch and whatever. I think a lot of people are using Zoom or Skype or whatever it is. So I wouldn't recommend Zoom. Apparently lots of bad stuff with that. But no, I think you're going to see a huge proliferation in virtual gaming conventions, and it's going to be to the detriment of normal conventions because it's just going to be easier for those running it. There's less hotel accommodations. There's less legal problems. There's just so much less virtually than there is physically. Now that said, I think that as soon as states start loosening up their constraints on people and the movement of people, and they're going to have to do that. And let's face it, I mean, they're going to have to do it. It just we can't really function as a society all in small clusters of 4 people. It's not going to happen. But when that happens, I think you'll see bigger conventions with a little bit of weight, able to kind of muscle through and still attract larger crowds. But you're going to see a absolutely monstrous proliferation of small cons because it's just easy to do. As for the face-to-face gaming, I think that we are about to go into a renaissance of RPGs in the idea that people are going to learn to play online, and you're going to see so many people who have quit playing or can't play because they can't find a group, or they don't have access to their friends, or they've moved or whatever. Coming back into it, Chuck and I both have had the conversation that he was doing a monthly game that they switched to online a couple weeks ago, and now they want to do it like every 3 nights. And my crew is the same. We play every Thursday. Well, I can't play every night, but they've played like 3 times in the last 7 days because they can. So I think you're going to actually see a growth in people actually gaming, and you'll see everyone will gather back at the tables. But let's face it, I mean, especially in the older demographic of RPGs, it's a little more difficult to gather at the table because we have kids and jobs and travel and parents who are getting elderly. There's so many things that pull us in so many different directions that it's a little bit more difficult to actually land us all at the table. And I'm still amazed that our 4 or 5 gamers who sit at my table on Thursday night managed to do it up until the pandemic, obviously. They quit with the pandemic, and now we're Skype gaming, and they love it. So I think we're going to actually see a growth out of all of this for our industry. Board games is a little different because obviously the board is important, but it's not impossible to put a board online. So we'll see where that goes. And I wouldn't doubt if you see that coming soon too. Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds they're just huge, and they're going to get much larger, and people are going to be much more comfortable with this platform going forward. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Valeria. Geek Preacher does a lot of live streaming on Facebook. Definitely head over and friend Geek Preacher and watch his live streams. Great stuff there. Epi, I have a couple of spots open for my. There you go. If you do a UG Online Con, I will attend and run games. Yeah, that's the plan. We want to do it. We've done 7 Troll Cons or something way back in the early days, and there's just a lot of management. It takes a lot of time, so we put them to the side. It's been on Tim and Chuck's list to do something, but doing a virtual Troll Con it takes a lot of that out, and we're definitely going to do it. It's just bringing this thing together. All our energy at the moment is on World Anvil. Well, Tim and Chuck, they handle. I should clarify that all of this internet stuff is managed by Tim Burns and Chuck Akumbo. They do all of this. Babunski and Tim over here on the TLG Tim on the feed. They make all of this happen. So when I say all of our focus, I mean their focus is on World Anvil at the moment. That in Fantasy Game. Leading the charge since 2014. Now wait, what? I'm good. Yes, you are. You're the one. That's the thing. I mean, we're watching it change, and the funny thing about changes like this, because we live them, we don't experience it. We don't realize what's happening around us. I remember a few weeks ago, my daughter mentioned to me that living in the 80s must have been so cool because of the Cold War and the wall coming down and Pablo Escobar and all of these other things that she listed. And I said, what you know, the same stuff's happening now. Nothing's really changed. You've got insane violence in Mexico now, and what do you think about it? She goes, well, you know, it's so common we don't think about it. And I was like, well, that's kind of how we were. It was part of the everyday tapestry. You just get up, you go to work, you do whatever. And that's sort of where we are in this transition. It's happening all around us. We're vaguely aware of it, but we still got to cook dinner and, you know, do whatever it is that we do at home. So it's definitely changing. Any chance that you will have another Kickstarter for another limited edition wood grain CNC box set? Raven, no. We generally speaking, now I'm not going to say, I shouldn't say no, I don't like that, but generally speaking, when we do a Kickstarter, it's got specialty items, and I think we've only done, some of the Kickstarters have specialty items, but that one was a very special Kickstarter. We won't do any more beyond that because the people who backed that's what we promised them. So staying true to those people who backed the thing, we don't want to do another one. Now that's not to say that we won't do another commemorative. We actually got our 20th anniversary coming up. Or did I miss it? I might have missed it. I missed it. I think our 20th anniversary was last year. Anyway, so we find something to celebrate. We'll have a new, different commemorative thing. I can't believe I missed our 20th because we founded in 1999, May or June. Oh, that's funny. There you go. John, you got to get online. It's all over the place. There's games constantly, and I know Chuck's working hard to get even more of them up. I stream my games. Hope that's cool with you. Absolutely. There's much CNC out there. It's fantastic. Get with Chuck. Maybe we can host you over on our channel. That would be very cool. Since World Trolling is fairly easy to pick up for some of us Grognards, I'm happy to work with someone. That'd be great. Much appreciated. I know for certain that right now, with the pandemic, tabletop games and board games have skyrocketed among the generation. I swear on a day-to-day basis, I have people all over social media. One of my friends and some who are not posting 4 to 8 posts each time about RPGs and tabletops and miniatures, etc. I haven't seen that ever. Oh, yeah. No, there's generally speaking 2 industries that are recession-proof, and I say that. Knock on wood. Oh, where's the wood? No wood. Wait. Windowsill. There, I knocked on wood. Gaming as in entertainment and movies. Now, movies are getting hammered because of the pandemic, but gaming, and now TLG is a little bit cushioned because so many of my compadres print their books overseas, and there's so much problems right now with shipping. There were problems before with the tariff dispute between the United States and China that a lot of their products are just held up in port or not being made whatsoever. But TLG, we do everything domestically. We buy domestic paper, and we have things made domestically in Missouri, Arkansas, California, or Pennsylvania. So we haven't suffered any loss of product flow. So we're pretty good there. But yeah, definitely, people are home. We can tell it. Everybody's stuck at home with nothing to do. The boredom level around here is beginning to ratchet up. So we'll see how much longer the country can take it before it explodes and just a revolution caused by sheer boredom. We'll see how that plays out. I think we have some more games opening up. Excellent. So, yes, now I just talked to Luke Douglas. I talked to Luke yesterday about KoboldCon, and I know that Chuck is hammering that away. So hopefully we'll get more stuff in there too. Well, that's good, Geek Preacher. I just heard it was just filled with malware and adware from wherever the heck. So that's good that they fixed that. TLG organized. I suppose more people might start RPGs since there is less competition on things to do, and at some point you have enough of TV. Yeah, in golf, that's the truth of it. And the thing about the television right now, because of the pandemic, there's actually less of it. I think we've run out of new TV shows, and they're not finishing things. Like The Walking Dead, they're not going to finish the season, not for months until they can get back to work. So games generally do well in times like this. And with the digital platforms, it's even better because you can get it immediately. You're bored, get it immediately, download it, start playing. I don't get folks that only want to play F2F. You can play a lot more using VPP. So again, that's what's coming. That's what people are going to learn, I think, from all of this. They're going to come out of this and they're going to say, "Oh, wait a minute." And I can speak from experience that 3 of the 4 people at my table, absolutely, we've gamed by Skype like 4 times. They love it. They absolutely love it. And it's new. It was never really part of the conversation, but we were forced into it because of the pandemic. And even though Arkansas hasn't issued a stay in place or whatever that is, the governor has requested that we all scatter, and we all scattered for the most part. It wasn't much scattering. Arkansas is not very populated anyway, so we didn't have far to scatter. So it worked out well. There you go, Geek Preacher. Here's my take. Face-to-face is awesome, but online lets me play as often as I want, and people always will. That's it, Ted. And that's once people have learned that that's what you can do, it's going to change the game. Because so many people will then just, I don't need to go travel across town to sit at Joe's house. I can just play right now. Let's go. And then when they're bored late at night, they can play. And it's always that kind of learning curve. And this is the thing about our form of our economic system, the capitalist system that we have, is it responds. It's almost like an entity that responds to outside stresses and adapts to them. It has to adapt to them because people have to eat. Because we all have to kind of we all have to somehow get food on the table, and we can't hunt anymore. There's just not enough animals out there to feed us all. We're all running around like idiots, shooting each other. But the whole thing, and we are watching the system change. And I know that we get this nonstop inundation of bad news from the press and the media and everything, but those stock market explosions and drops and all of that stuff, it doesn't affect most people. Hedge fund managers, retirement funds, stuff like that, it definitely affects. But for a lot of people in the middle and the middle class and in our age bracket, 50s, 40s, 30s, we're just working. So it only hits us if our employer goes under. And a lot of small companies can survive these things, minus the pandemic. Now the pandemic's a whole different, thing to it. But we're literally watching the economy change before our eyes. Very cool. It's not cool because it's horrible. The pandemic has caused all this madness and tragedy and loss and everything. But it's shifting. And we'll see how it rebounds. Let's see. Well, not just that, but the MMO market is also pretty dead compared to hundreds of thousands of players in that community are looking for something new and fresh and so on. Oh, interesting. I just need to get TNT out there to more of the public. There you go. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So that market's kind of tanked, and I guess because those companies have probably closed their doors, I suppose, and they don't have people to manage it, so they're all out looking. And that's kind of the nice thing about computer games. I ran for years a game for kids, a CNC for kids, and it would take them a couple of games to realize, oh, this is like a computer game, but it's not in that I can do anything that I want to do. I'm not constrained by whatever rule system or mechanics. I can just go, and it's just the dice. It's chance. And once they kind of make that mental leap, it's huge. And then now they've just added. They don't give up video games. Who would? But they've added this new type of gaming format to their repertoire, and that's what maybe that's what you're talking about. What we're seeing happen. Interesting, 4 to 6 online. I'll keep that in mind, Ted. I like about 4 people at my normal table. 4 to 5 people I'm happy with. But I'm one of the older. I still can't quite do the. I'm not comfortable yet with the online. But I get there though, without a doubt. Let's see. Still better pay the bills. Yep, you have to. I mean, we can't stop. You can't stop. Don't ever stop. It's not. And even if you even if you're one of the unfortunate people who have lost their job because states have shut down, take this time, fix your resume, do something. You can't stop. It won't, not gonna help anything. That's a great idea, Commander. RG Preacher. 21. So that's like next month, isn't it? Man, I don't do math very well. 1999. I need to find out when Mac and I exchanged those emails and actually created a company. I think it was May of 99. I still got them somewhere. So we could be of legal drinking age next month. Sweet! That is a fantastic idea. Valeria, we are done. The hardcover, I've got it. It's printed. It's here, stacked around all over the place. We have 9 small books to print to go in the stretch rewards. The first one went to layout today. And as I mentioned earlier, we own our own print shop, so they will be printed here in-house, and we're going to be printing 1 a day. So I'm hoping that by next week we're set and start shipping. And you should start seeing, it'll be a little bit sluggish after today in that I've got it. Once I get the PDF, the final of these 9 little books, once I get the PDF in my hand, I have to send it to Jason to have, he's the author of all these, to have a quick look over. And if it's good, then we print. And we're going to try to do 1 a day, like I said, maybe 2 a day if we get that much rolling. So in the next 10 days or so, I'm hoping to see those things just rolling out the door. We've got boxes, we've got packing, we've got the hardcovers. We'll do the backer kit right before we are ready to ship, so that it doesn't put any financial hardship on anybody. You'll get a small shipping bill, and then we're going to roll these things out the door like crazy. So very, very soon. We really want to get them to you soon so you can enjoy them now while everybody's locked up or quarantined or whatever we're using these days. I started playing PNC in 2008 and when we started. Oh, yeah. That's very cool that you went to Winter's Dark, Ted. I vaguely remember those were some great little, very small conventions we did up in Lake Geneva back in 07, 08, something, 06, something like that. It's got to have Dr. Pepper and Jack Daniels. There you go. You know what? Y'all have mentioned Dr. Pepper so much. Now I just want a Dr. Pepper, so I'm going to have a Dr. Pepper. You're making me drink the Dr. Pepper. Reach out. All right. I've been working remote for 5 years, not bored at all. That's the same with almost all of us girls. Ted, we all work from home or whatever. In England, Peter's in England. So it's been business as usual. We're just chugging along. And we're going to see the world. I'm curious how many employers are going to be comfortable with their employees staying at home, and they're looking at office space that they don't have to rent, if they can have, Joe at the house doing what he's doing. My own wife, in her practice, immediately, within days, was doing telemedicine, something she really hadn't considered before. So now she's got a whole day booked in her week, where she's just, doing the telemedicine with patients that are comfortable with that. So we are literally watching the economic behemoth that is the United States capitalist system changing gears. And because we're in the thick of it, we might not notice it, but it's happening all around us. I just think of Steve every time I crack a Dr. Pepper. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not. Epi, yes, definitely. So Nerd Chat this Friday at 7 p.m. Central on the TLG Discord server. Check that out. If you have not given us a follow, please follow us here on Twitch. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter. We're all over the place. And we surely do appreciate you all coming out and joining us. Real quick announcements. We will not have a World Anvil Twitch tomorrow, but it will be back next Wednesday at 1 o'clock. And Thursday night, 8 p.m., we'll do Jim's Tricks of the Trade here on the Twitch channel. And then I'll be back again next Tuesday for more Ask Me Anything. Ted, I well know your your disdain for our leadership. I always try to avoid working remote until this, but working entirely from home is mostly working great. Getting just as much as that's the thing. Once you kind of get in the mode of it, and it took me a couple of years from working at home to do it, but once you get in the mode of it, it's just like anything else. And I know employers have a lot of issues with it because they don't know if employees are going to work or not. And it's really not a time issue at that point. And I don't look at it as being the employer of many, many people. Who, there's a good 7, 8, 9, 10 of us that work from home. I don't actually care about the hours clocked in. I don't worry about that. It's production. It's how much is actually produced from everybody on staff that makes me know that it's working or not. And everybody, I can't think of anyone in the TLG, whatever, little universe that doesn't work. And Tim and Peter Bradley is on 24 hours a day. There's not a time that I can get on Skype. Peter's not on. I don't know when he even sleeps. Small churches are having similar problems. Small business alone has helped our congregation, but we're not sure what the future holds. Churches are going to be interesting. I honestly do think this is going to pass. I'm always accused of being an optimist, but at the end of the day, the coronavirus is a virus, and it's not going to go away, ever. It's part of the tapestry of humanity now. It's like the flu, it's like the cold, it's like Ebola, it's like all these things. So what has to happen now is treatments, which I think they're doing pretty good so far, creating treatments, and then a vaccine. And once these things will get somewhat back to normal, but you're going to see the economy itself it's not going to wait. People can't wait for 3 months. This whole idea that everybody just needs to sit still for 90 days or 18 months or whatever. Well, people can't. You got to eat. You don't get to just sit there, especially not here in the United States, Canada, New Zealand, Australia. So we'll get through this sooner than we think. It's always, what is that? It's darker before the dawn type thing. But when we come out of it, it's going to be a slightly different world. It won't ever be the same it was before, both good and bad. I mean, there's good parts of that and there's bad parts of that. But that world we knew in January is gone. There will be a new one, and we'll adjust and we'll find the good and the bad, and we'll do what we always do, because we're just primates, man. We're just looking for a banana. That's all we want, just a banana. So, my solution's way beyond. Yeah, that's good though. I mean, and you can actually reach out to a lot of parishioners who maybe couldn't come to church because of the elderly or whatever. There's all kinds of things. There's all kinds of things that. There's all kinds of things that, like I said, some is going to be good, some is going to be bad, but it's definitely going to be different. I think in the bigger picture, I do think it's horrible and as terrible as this has been, and very tragic for many, many people who've lost loved ones and whatnot. We will get out of this sooner than we think, and despite what governors or the president or whoever, despite what whoever is talking, we'll get through this. I have tremendous faith. I have less faith in our governing bodies, but I have tremendous faith in our scientific communities and in our healthcare communities and all these things. So we'll get through it. I agree that doing things virtually is the way things are going, especially due to my generation and our children's. But the thing I worry most is two things. I remember the VR race originally. It went big for a year, then fell apart. This was over 20 years ago. And didn't come back until about 4 years ago. AR did the same thing. Nook Kindle did the same, becoming a niche market, but nothing still beats face-to-face, rolling physical dice. No, you're right, and I think there's always going to be room for that, definitely. But what this is going to teach people in commerce, people who run conventions, publishing houses like myself, it's going to teach us a whole new, we're forced to learn a whole new method of doing what we do, of creating product and getting it out to everybody. And then more people become comfortable with those forms, whether it's Twitch or whatever, whatever delivery system it may be. The World Animal, I guess, would be a perfect example. Fantasy Grounds and Roll20. But these things are going to change. No, you're right, James. You're never going to. We are primates, and primates are we're band-oriented creatures. We are not solitary. Not like alligators. I guess they're solitary. Snakes are solitary, but primates are band-oriented. It's how everything about us, is built. So definitely, you're never going to get rid of that. Solar Games is sponsoring Virtual Con of Champions and Virtual CoboCon. We have donated prizes. We're running games and events at both. Yes, definitely check us out at both of those conventions. I do, Dead Hand, yes. It is on my list. I actually gave that thought today. I thought I need to just cut out an hour a week and just learn the Fantasy Grounds. I really need to do it for my group, too, on Thursday night, so it makes that a little bit more fun for me. We just do the Skype right now, and it's weird. It's good, but it's weird. I'm always gesticulating and thrashing about as a GM, so it's harder for me to do when I'm sitting down. I agree, Jinx. Nothing beats the groans and looks of horror. That is true. And that's one of the things that one of the things I'm having trouble adjusting to is not seeing the players. And we're working on that. Tim and Chuck are working on something for that, too. And we appreciate you all. Yes, absolutely. Everyone, thank you for joining us today, and give us a follow if you have not. We sure appreciate it. As far as the MMO scene, yeah, for the last 9 years, it's been regurgitated repeats that wow you for a month and two and then fall flat. Everyone wants the next best MMO, but no one has yet made it happen, not even close. It's why dozens upon dozens of titles have either shut down or gone free to play to crawl along Steam. Yeah, I was watching, my son got a new game. I can't, what was it? Dropped the other day. He streams as well, and it dropped in his, he got it free or something. And he's really enjoying it, but I was looking at it, and it looks just like so many of the other games. That was a first-person shooter, but it's kind of the same point you're making, Jinx, that the MMOs, it's kind of the same thing. There's nothing super unique about it. Now, maybe I didn't get into the gritty of it. But, I guess at the end of the day, movies are like that. Man, there's so many of these movies that are just not unique. I'll sit down and watch. I tried to watch the latest, who's the guy who played this part in King Leonidas? He's got those Washington down, London down, London Bridges down. I don't know, whatever the movie was. And I love the guy, and it was a cool movie, and it had nice explosions, but there wasn't anything in that. There was nothing in that was good. There was nothing in that movie that made me at all think, oh, look at that. It's out there, but it just doesn't have Mexican Coke. Here you go. It's got some cane sugar in it. If you get soda from Mexico, Coca-Cola and Dr. Pepper, or whatever it is, remember, it's cane sugar down there. It is sweet. Imperial sugar, yes. King Richard knows what I'm talking about. It is sweet, sweet, sweet. Good, but it's sweet. I had a friend reach out to me last week to run a game for them, use the time that people at home and bored get to do. Yeah, absolutely, Epi. Spread the word. Let everybody know. And people really, RPGs are not what people think they are, so it's easier now to get people into it, especially when they're watching their kids' games so very, very much. That'd be good, Chuck. Streaming's good. And see, companies in the 90s tried work at home and it failed. It was because the old man is not having much control of the people. They were just not ready for the shift. I think you're dead on, Robo, and I think I read an article not long ago that there's still a little bit of that going on, that as people go home, they're just worried about time in. And this is where older people, management, they need to reshift the way they're thinking. It's not about time in, it's about production. They need to produce what they were producing before. It doesn't matter if they can do it in 1 hour or 6. It doesn't matter. My oldest son went to virtual school, and he very, very quickly learned that an 8-hour school day, he was done with in an hour and a half. I didn't make him do extra schoolwork because he had an extra 6.5 hours. He could do whatever he wanted. He was done. He finished it, and that it changed the whole dynamic and the whole paradigm. And that's what employers have to get their minds around. That it's about what they produce and not the amount of time that they sit there. Sitting at a desk all day, you're not working 8 hours. Your brain is just not. We're not meant to be doing that. So definitely not. I want people to not throw the baby out with the bathwater. There are benefits to physical. Oh yeah, koala sandwich, and I think you're right, and it won't. And that's the thing. We're seeing the economy shift, and we're seeing this new paradigm become, exposed. That's not the right word. That's a horrible word. But revealed, whatever the word is, to more people, so they will be comfortable with it. But I don't think you're going to see people just immediately abandon what was before. It's just like I have fielded the question many, many times: is print industry dead? Because of the PDFs and all the online platforms and all of that stuff. And not at all. Not even by a stretch. We've seen our revenue streams increase, and the percentages overall of what was digital to 10 years ago to what is digital today increased slightly, but our print sales are still the lion's share of what we do. People like books. They like to have physical things in their hands. It's the same reason, I complain all the time to my wife about, I don't like to eat, I don't want to eat. And then she says, well, stop. You can take these nutrients, you can eat protein bars or whatever, you don't have to eat it. You can get all the stuff you need just from these little things here. I don't want to do that. I like steak. Steak tastes good. I like mashed potatoes and butter on it. So I think what you're going to see is the market kind of shift and change, and people become very comfortable with whether it's telemedicine on the one end or it's online gaming on the other. But that doesn't mean the old is going to go out. Doctors can't not see patients. You just can't. There's a whole side to the a whole physical side to that you can't abandon. So, but take for instance a friend of mine who's a lawyer. He's now at home working from home, and he's probably working more now than he did before. So you're going to see this gigantic shift. I suspect it'll be slow at first, but then it'll pick up steam. But it's not. The old is not going to be. The baby is not going to be thrown out with the bathwater. It may be a little bit less. It may not, because you may have more people doing what we do now than you did before. Same here. Tremendous faith in our scientists. I do too, Get Preacher. I absolutely do. The United States, and I know other countries have as well, but we have done amazing things. I'm pretty close to the medical community because my wife's a doctor, so I see the things that they are capable of doing, and it is mind-boggling. Despite what we do to our bodies with all of these chemicals, smoking and whatever else we do. I work for iRacing.com and have worked from home for 13 years. The pandemic has boosted up our business like nothing else could have. Weird times. Also, Fantasy Grounds is worth putting in the time to learn. So nice to have all these rules modules out. Yeah, absolutely, Scott. That's funny because that's what's happening. People have to still do. And then the cool thing about it is new industries will be born from this. Now, I saw someone the other day. There's a key now that you don't have to touch anything. This key will open doors for you. It'll hit little keypads on whatever. It's all fantastic. And this is a whole new industry created because of this pandemic. No one would have thought of, if you tried to sell me a key or a little keychain thing that I can poke numbers on the pad at the ATM machine out of last you out of the house. But now you don't have to touch anything. It's just, we're seeing it happen right now. Industries are going to explode everywhere. And that's generally speaking, what people don't understand about recessions, people with lots and lots of money lose lots and lots of money. Because they have lots and lots of money that's on paper, but people in the middle who don't, they have to find a way. And you will see now a pandemic is a problem, but you'll see a huge proliferation of small businesses just explode. Most will fail, but some won't. And those that don't will start hiring people. So generally speaking, a recession is a cleansing. It's kind of a cleansing of the economy. It's horrible. Don't get me wrong. We don't want anyone to suffer, and no one should lose their jobs and all of this stuff. But it's not what the media is telling us it is. I'm more of a hermit crab primate. There you go, Daddy. We want fantasy crabs. Yeah, exactly. Hardest thing for me to deal with right now is that we just started game days at church. Oh, that sucks, Steve Preacher. That's just terrible. That's not cool at all. What we need to do, how's it going, Blazing Ice? What we need to do is get a huge Minecraft server, a Troll Lord Minecraft server, and build the world of Air on Minecraft. That's what we need to do. Both of my sons play Minecraft like crazy, and it just looks like we could do all kinds of stuff with it. Let's see, steak is greater than power. I agree, Virtual Wizard. But I think you could get the same stuff out of it. Yeah, I had a ribeye this afternoon for lunch, so I'm right there with you. I do like sexy books on the shelf, but the really sexy books are they get that way. And that's kind of the other thing we've watched. It was really kind of cool from my perspective as a publisher. When we started this collector's items, leather books, stuff like that, wasn't really part of it. But Kickstarter kind of gave us, which is a brand new, if you think about it, and though we're comfortable with it now, we weren't a decade ago. It's a brand new a brand new revenue stream for anybody. But what it does is it allows us to do what we couldn't do before, which is really make unique, valuable, collectible books. And I don't mean just, whatever. It's got, if you look at some of the ones that we've done, I mean, we've gone all out with, leather, and it's got embossed gold. I can't remember all the stuff. All kinds of stuff on it. But books like they made back when bookmaking was a real art form. And that Kickstarter and Indiegogo and these other sites have allowed us to do that, whereas before there was no mechanism for it. So you really do see economic shifts and change in time of terrible turmoil, and we are clearly in a time of terrible turmoil, and we are definitely watching it unfold. Watching the economy unfold in different directions. I just wish I could always get the Canadian leather-bound books and never Kickstarter. Yeah, they're pretty stout. Sometimes we do just the black leather ones with embossing on it. Those are not insanely expensive, but these are pretty expensive. But now COVID-19. There you go. Finally, the 10-foot pole has purpose at long last. Fantastic. I heard Minecraft, physical distancing in the dungeon, D&D did it first. These all need to be T-shirts. You guys have just got great T-shirts going on. There you go. The only issue with the recession is who is causing. There's nothing wrong with the fact that buggy whip manufacturers were replaced. Yeah, well, causes for recessions are all over the place. We're way overdue for this one, I'm guessing. But the pandemic is a whole different ball game to what is going on with the recession. It's just added a lot of uncertainty, I think, and terror, and just problems that nobody needs. But ironically, we're watching these little companies everywhere start printing pieces of 3D masks and PPE gear and all kinds of stuff. So even in a response to this pandemic, you're seeing, people say, oh, here's an opportunity to both help somebody and to feed my family and go. So it's very, very interesting. My son does as well. In fact, I'm about to go eat today. You too, Geek Preacher. I think we're a little over. We're going to be winding down here in just a minute. Yes, leather-bound books. So nice. Received my leather player's hammer yesterday. Yeah, I love those things. I absolutely love this. It's just a cool... I'm a book collector. I'm kind of a bibliophile. I got a huge collection if you've seen pictures of me anywhere but online. But I really do like those made in the 1800s, early 1900s that they have the hubs on the side and they're gold and they're stitched carefully together, all of that stuff. All right, so again, everybody, thank you for joining us today, and thank you for the follow. If you have not, please give us one. We've got Troll Nerd Chat coming up Friday on Discord at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. GM Tricks of the Trade will be Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then next week we'll be back here again at 4 o'clock. So please join us. And Wednesday at 1 for World Anvil. And again, GM Tricks Trade on down the line. So please, thank you all for showing up. And thanks for joining in the stream. And I love all the comments and questions. It's very cool. I absolutely love interacting with you guys. And thank you for showing up. And yes, please stay safe. Wash your hands. Keep the extra feet. Cough into your sleeve, whatever. Yeah, it's really coughing into your hands. It's just gross to begin with. So, because you're shaking people's hands and whatnot. So cough into your sleeve, wash your hands, and all this stuff. No problem, Raven. I hope they were helpful. Everybody, stay safe, and we'll get through this. We'll get through this together before you know it. But we'll still be here on Twitch, jibber jabbering away. All right, I'm going to sign off now. I've gone over a little bit, and it's Purple Cow night here. We're eating some cheeseburgers, and that's what we're doing. Y'all have a great and a wonderful evening, and stay safe. Thanks again, everybody, for showing up.